Hello and welcome again, ladies and gentlemen, to another round of powered pummeling on Grudge Match Unlimited, the show where no fictional realms are off limits in our quest to pit the most badass combatants against one another. Today's match sees two brawlers who walk in the shadows of undeath and who both cut an impressive silhouette in long leather coats. It's the Daywalker and Scourge of the Vampires, Blade, versus the resurrected revenge seeker, the Crow. Both of these characters use enhanced combat and physical skills, as well as virtual immortality in order to fight their opponents, as well as both having very similar looks and styles, and, interestingly enough, both having the same first name. As long as we're speaking about the first Crow, Eric Draven, both of these characters' names is Eric. Starting with Blade, Eric Brooks, first created in 1973 for Marvel Comics. When he was first created, his backstory is that his mother, while pregnant with him, was bitten by a vampire, and he was born sort of having a fusion of vampire and human DNA. But in his early days, that only took the form of him being immune to the vampire bite, not being susceptible to full-on vampirism. He didn't have any of his advanced physical skills, strength, speed, agility, or healing ability when he originally started out, and for much of his comic career. Those skills came later on in his comic days when he was bitten by Morbius, the living vampire, and that bite had a strange reaction with his unique physiology, and that allowed him to gain the powers of the vampire without having any of the weaknesses. So that gave him the enhanced strength, speed, agility, and healing ability that we've come to know from Blade in more recent days. In addition to those skills, he is highly trained in all kinds of fighting techniques, and as well as in weapon proficiency as well. Most generally, he likes to use bladed weapons, which how he got his name, Blade. He often uses swords, knives, and various edged weapons, but he is fully trained as well in small firearms and explosives, and he always carries a variety of these on him as well. The Crow has been a number of different individuals over the years, but was first created in 1989, and the very first Crow went by the name of Eric Draven. He was resurrected by a Crow 1 year after being killed by a street gang, and he was raised from the dead specifically to exact revenge upon that street gang who killed him and his girlfriend. Now, his soul is seated in the Crow, the actual bird that brought him back from the dead, and because of that, his physical body is virtually completely immune to damage. He has enhanced strength, speed, and agility, just like Blade does, complete immunity to pain, and any damage his body sustained will generally heal very quickly. In addition to this, he also has limited psychic and empathic abilities. He can see through the eyes of the Crow, and he can occasionally touch objects and see visions of the past that happened. He can also, on occasion, rare occasion, transfer his own emotions and his own feelings to others through touch. The Crow also seems to have inherent combat ability and weapons proficiency himself, even though in his past life he may never have had any fighting skills at all. When resurrected as the Crow always seems to be very proficient fighter in both unarmed combat as well as using various weapons. So both of these characters seem to be on relatively equal footing in terms of the fighting skills, the enhanced strength, speed, and agility. In some ways they differ, however. When it comes to the Crow, he has all-around better healing and better invulnerability. Because his body is virtually completely immune to damage, or what damage it takes will very, very quickly heal, and he won't even suffer any pain as a result of it. Blade, while he does have the advanced healing of a vampire, does still feel the pain that damage inflicts upon him, and healing does take a certain amount of time. Additionally, killing blows such as decapitation or complete immolation by fire, stabbed in the heart with various stakes and silver, even though he's specifically immune to silver, being stabbed through the heart by anything is probably going to do the trick. That's not necessarily going to be the case for the Crow, although it's hard to say what a decapitation would do to the Crow, as none have ever been fully decapitated and still been able to be effective in combat. Where the crow's vulnerability comes into play is the crow itself, the bird that is always seen with him and always follows him around and always leads him around. If that crow is injured in any way or killed, then that will end the crow's invulnerability. He will become normal and mortal in terms of being able to be more easily dispatched through killing. Additionally, it has been seen on occasion that if the crow is not actively pursuing those he was specifically brought back to kill, then he will begin to lose his powers and lose his invulnerability and his strength. So he is a revenge machine, and if he's not pursuing that revenge, it can potentially be to his detriment. So having taken a look at the skills, similarities, and differences of these two characters, it's time to determine who would win if they were to ever cross swords and guns. And that winner's going to be the Crow. It comes right down to it, the fact that the Crow is nigh invulnerable, and more so even than Blade, is going to be the most significant dominant factor in this fight. If Blade did see his way to actually harming the Crow, the bird itself, then that would make the man, Eric Draven, much more vulnerable. However, this is not a piece of information that is widely known, nor is this something that Eric Draven himself is going to offer up to Blade throughout the course of the fight. So it's unlikely Blade would ever even think to shoot or stab or kill the bird itself. So that's going to make Eric Draven's invulnerability paramount in this fight. While Blade might be able to actually overcome Eric Draven in one-on-one combat to a certain degree, it's not going to be enough to put the Crow down. It's not going to be enough to actually keep him from getting back up. Additionally, with the Crow's limited psychic abilities, his empathic abilities, and even his ability to transfer his own pain to another person, he could potentially break that out in a crucial moment to really significantly impact Blade, because Blade doesn't really have any psychic or mental defenses to speak of, and while he may be used to getting hurt physically and can overcome that pain, the kind of mental pain that the Crow is capable of inflicting might really jar him. But even without that, the mere fact that the Crow can't really be harmed to any great degree is going to be the deciding factor in this fight, giving Crow, Eric Draven, the win of this Grudge Match Unlimited. Thanks for watching. Message me down below. Let me know what you think of the outcome of this fight. And as always, any suggestions for future matches. We'll see you next time on the next edition of Grudge Match Unlimited.